Hey, so I kind of wanted to share this project I've been working on lately at AWeber. So to give you a little bit of backstory, to the right here is actually our message editor. So this is a drag and drop tool that our customers will use to build the emails that they send to their subscriber base. And actually I was on the original team that made this back in 2012. So while we were planning out this project, we figured out that building emails was a common pain point for customers. They either didn't know what to write, they didn't know how to format it, or anything like that. And originally that's what this project was intended for. So that being said, after its initial release, we did do a little bit of development on it, but we kind of largely didn't really give much development attention to it after 2012. And unfortunately, it's kind of bubbled up that it is one of the harder pieces of our tool to use, and some of our customers do struggle with it. So like any designer, I kind of wanted to know why, and I wanted to dig into the different reasons, why. So going with the phrase of whatever gets measured gets improved, one of the first things we did was we set up Google Events. So that way anytime any customer clicked on a certain piece of the interface, we would be able to map the engagement stats. So we could kind of figure out which pieces of the tool got used more than others. Now that being said, we also did an initial study where we were trying to figure out, before we change anything, what are the problems that exist today. So this was a remote usability study. We had 10 initial participants. It was an hour-long interview, and at the end, as a thank you, we gave them a $50 Amazon card for helping us. The other thing we did was we kind of looked at the types of emails customers were making. So what I did was I would go through and I'd take screenshots of a random sampling of customers, and it would kind of give our team a kind of consensus of the different types of patterns people are trying to create within their email design. All this coming together really was to fully understand the problem space before we would try to recommend any type of solution. So that being said, we had both qualitative research and quantitative research. So the usability testing helped us understand the motives, expectations, goals, and frustrations. It gave us more of a human aspect of all these different things and all the things people were encountering and what they were trying to do. Also, analyzing the customer emails helped us determine the different patterns of UI things that people were trying to create. And then on the flip side of things, you have the quantitative research. So we were measuring the feature engagement via Google Events, so seeing which things were the most popularly used, for better or worse. Sometimes you don't know if people are misunderstanding what they're clicking on or trying to achieve something else. But in general, we did have a finger on the pulse for that. And along with, we were surveying customers to better quantify the different types of patterns we're uncovering from usability testing. So all this comes together to try to fuel this project we're doing for improving our message editor. So theory is great, but I think case studies are better. And I'd like to kind of share one of the things that has come of this process, and it's really been working for us pretty great. So one of the things I've noticed as I was doing the different usability tests is that micro interactions really do matter. And I'll kind of explain that. So let's check out this clip.
Okay, I can do that.
So
I'm trying to highlight it to get rid of this. There we go. Oh, and I didn't. That's okay. Well, because once you start working with it, you see what the quirks are
Sure.
of the program. Okay.
So let's break that down play by play and actually analyze what happened. Believe it or not, 7 things happen within that 18 seconds. 7 things that the customer may or may not have realized even happened. So looking at it first, she struggled to highlight the text. As she was clicking, she was dragging the paragraph, and it was kind of it was difficult for her. Her cursor, when she clicked, didn't go where she expected it to, much like as if this was WordPress or Microsoft Word or whatever. Wherever you click, you would kind of expect your cursor to go to. We also populate the, whenever you add a new paragraph to your message, we actually put lorem ipsum text in. And she had to delete our text, which she wasn't able to, and therefore she pasted in her text, and it kind of compounded the problem. Next, because we're using the lorem ipsum text, the spell checker actually makes it look way busier than it needs to. So it looks like every single word is misspelled, which technically it is, and therefore it leads to a busier looking interface. Also, we have this double outline around the element, which also kind of leads to compounding that busy interface. And lastly, you have the editor, which is butting up against the edge of the text. So it's a little bit restricting. It kind of feels tight. You'll also notice that our controls are covered based on this menu, which is something we've fixed since then, and that was also based on this research. So all these things kept bubbling up in almost every usability test we would have. So let's watch another example.
Photo right now.
Sure.
Image. Do I click on that? I don't know what that thing is, but that kind of bugs me.
Yeah.
Can I exit? Oh no, I just deleted my whole message. What the what?
So this was something we also saw in different tests. And I think really it comes down to labeling and proximity matters. So again, going back to it, if you look at the design on the left, which is the redesigned version, the move handle, like the drag handle, is actually very pronounced. It tells you exactly what it's supposed to do. Copy and delete are also very pronounced, and they're also tied together tightly with the element. Also, if you look at the bottom black thing, we have these cell splitting tools for kind of playing with the table. And labeling those things appropriately gives you a whole new context of what they're actually doing. So let's continue that session.
Okay. So I from here have no idea how to put an image in there though.
So to kind of coach you in the right direction, if you click like on the checkerboard thing to the side of the message. So now,
Gotcha.
yeah. So now, what would you do?
Image. Oh, drag it. So I just drag it. Oh, I see. Okay. That's not where I want it to go though. To edit. Click to edit. Why is it not?
So breaking it down play by play, the toolbar that she was trying to use while she was editing text was actually disabled when she needed it. Even more so, she didn't realize that she needed to click on the checkerboard, and honestly, that's not something she should have needed to realize. And then lastly, she couldn't put the image where she wanted to, and even though she was using the tool as it was intended with the drag and drop functionality, she had no clue why she couldn't, and it wasn't super clear. So each time a customer stumbles with one of these different things, it chips away at their confidence.
So you're trying to drag the image into like where the thing says picture 1.
Yeah.
Sure.
And this, by the way, is why I don't use the advanced editor.
Sure. Okay. So I'll kind of point you in the right direction.
Yeah. So at this point, I would go, back to the original editor.
Okay.
So time and time again, we were seeing these different things, and as we started to surface these different findings, we actually found that our customer solutions team could verify that they've helped customers through almost all these exact issues. So where do we go from here? As part of the team, we're trying to be more agile, and we're trying to iterate based on these different things that we're doing. So we have these 2-week sprints, and we need to come up with small incremental improvements. So let me walk you through the redesigned version based on all the different feedback we've gotten to kind of show you how it would be to add a paragraph to your message now. So what you'll notice is when you drag the paragraph in, there's no lorem ipsum text. The labels are clear. It puts your cursor exactly where it should be, and you can just start typing. So again, going to adding confidence through clarity, you can compare the redesign to the way it currently is today. So clearly labeled controls, a designated drag handle, so therefore customers don't struggle to highlight text. You can highlight text with a single click, and your cursor will be put where it needs to be. And we've also focused on typography based on looking at the messages that people have sent. So we found primarily a lot of customers would send text-heavy emails, and therefore typography was definitely a concern. So looking at this design, it feels much freer to type into. The text isn't touching the edge of the box, and the line height and all the proper typography is done for them. And not only that, but testing this verifies that the new design is working better for customers.
Okay. So do you have any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Sure. So overall, today we were kind of testing out those new handles for dragging things. If you had to rate this compared to your experience yesterday, how do you think it compares?
Oh, it's much better.
Much better. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
It's just much more clear. And the other thing is that yesterday when I was doing it, this all came, like when you would click on one, all three boxes would highlight up together. And I wonder, if maybe because this is a test, but what would also be nice is if you could highlight, like basically group a bunch of boxes, like, okay, I want all these guys to live together.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be stellar.
So again, a quick recap. So we use both qualitative and quantitative data to understand the problem space before recommending any solutions. Not only that, but after we had that information, we focused on the micro interactions that customers may or may not have understood affected the overall experience. Third, we use basic design principles that we kind of departed from. So things like proximity, label things appropriately and clearly, all of that kind of helped. And then last, we validated our solution by testing it with a variety of customers. So I just want to thank you for listening to this. It's been a fun project, and I'm really excited to continue down this path. If you want to follow me on Twitter, definitely feel free to do that. I'm always looking to be part of any engaging design conversations or projects. So thank you so much.